In the world of modern warfare, nothing is black and white. It's a battlefield filled with moral ambiguities, shifting alliances, and the ever-present fog of war. And yet, when we look at modern warfare through the lens of video games, we often find a portrayal that simplifies this complexity into stark contrasts. Modern warfare, a term synonymous with conflict and combat in basically the 21st century, is represented in ways that are sometimes chillingly oversimplified. But don't worry, I'm not here to rain on your killstreak parade. We're just peeling back the layers to see what these games get right and what they get horribly wrong. Yes, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the juggernaut of military shooters. It's like the Michael Bay of video games, flashy, loud, and sometimes a little bit too eager to make you believe that the good guys always win. The 2019, 2022, and also the 2023 titles bring warfare to life, with explosive set pieces, intense firefights, and a seemingly unshakable conviction that justice is on our side. But if you look closer, you'll notice something weird. These games don't just chillingly simplify war, but they're often redrawing morality and real history entirely. Take the Clean House mission for example, one of my most favorite missions or even moments in gaming. Here, you play as a highly trained operator breaching a house to eliminate terrorists. You know, the same old same old. It's night, it's quiet, and every creak of the floorboards feel like it might trigger something explosive. The tension is palpable. The game forces you to make split-second decisions like, is that a civilian or a combatant? Should you pull the trigger or should you hold your fire? And does that girl have something in her hands or not? Because why is she looking back every time?
I said stop!
Yeah. In moments like this, Modern Warfare captures the chaos and moral weight of real combat. For those very few minutes, it's a masterclass not only in gameplay but also in atmosphere.
Oh, fucking hell.
But then we have the infamous Highway of Death. In the real world, this was a horrible and really tragic event where the US-led coalition forces bombed retreating Iraqi forces during the Gulf War, killing soldiers and, unfortunately, killing a lot of civilians alike. In the game though, it's presented as a war crime committed by our evil Russian forces. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. By altering history to fit a narrative that paints Western forces as the undisputed good guys, the game not only misrepresents reality and also an entire country in the war, but also cheapens the real-world tragedies that inspired these very same events. But don't get me wrong, fictional battles are fine. I mean, go nuts, have a space war in Antarctica for all I care, but when you start rewriting real-world events to fit a one-sided agenda, that's where things get a little bit dicey. Not everything needs to be about rah, go team freedom, when the truth is far more complicated.
But we are all killers here, no?
They're gonna breach.
Now let's talk about that one game that, honestly, needs no introduction. Enter Spec Ops: The Line. Released in 2012, this game might not have sold as many copies as Modern Warfare, but it sure as hell left a large impression. In Spec Ops, you play as Martin Walker, a captain leading a rescue mission in a sandstorm-ravaged Dubai. But as the story unfolds, it's less about saving the day and more about watching your character slowly unravel. You start questioning everything: the mission, your choices, and even the game itself. Here's the kicker. Spec Ops doesn't let you off the hook. There's a moment where you drop white phosphorus, and I bet you know of that moment. You drop white phosphorus on an enemy encampment, only to discover afterward that you've incinerated civilians. The game doesn't sugarcoat it or offer you a way out. You did that. You chose that, and now you have to live with it. And a small detail that I honestly really like in this part is the fact that you can see Walker's reflection. You can see his dead eyes, basically the tablet you use to launch the white phosphorus. Because this scene basically shows that even in war, when reduced to a cold, clinical technology, it's still a deeply human act with real human consequences. And the reflection serves as a reminder that Walker isn't some detached hero following orders. He's the one actively making the choice. By framing his face on the tablet, the game underscores that Walker is complicit in the destruction, just as well as you, the player, is complicit. Because, unlike Modern Warfare, which often frames war as a necessary evil per se, Spec Ops forces you to confront the morality of your actions. Are you doing the right thing? Or are you just another cog in a machine that thrives on destruction? By the end, you're left questioning not just the character you played, but even yourself. And that's something most Modern Warfare games wouldn't even dare to touch. Real-world conflicts like the Israel and Palestine struggle and the ongoing confrontations with Hezbollah remind us that modern warfare is anything but simple. These are not battles with clear good guys and bad guys. They're layered, messy, and filled with decades of history, pain, and unresolved tensions. Civilians are caught in the crossfire, and both sides claim the moral high ground. Israel cites its right to defend itself, while Palestinians point to decades of displacement and occupation. The result? Endless violence with innocent lives lost on both sides. And then there's the role of Hezbollah in Lebanon, fighting for ideological survival. To many, they're freedom fighters, to others, they're terrorists. The truth? Probably somewhere in that uncomfortable gray zone. Because you could say Israel has its right to defend itself, but is the right completely destroying Gaza? Is it bombing civilians indiscriminately just to kill a couple of militants? And is it right for the Palestinians, or to be more specific, Hamas, to say that they're fighting Israel because decades of oppression and occupation, but at the same time killing civilians in the process? And unfortunately, both sides commit war crimes. Both sides commit atrocities. There's no denying it. There's reports online, there's videos online, and also if you try to understand it, it's kinda sad too. Because in Hamas's case, for example, the fighters that stormed Israel on October 7th, they were once kids. Kids that were born in refugee camps, kids that was born in years of occupation, and the only time they see the Jewish people or the Israelis is, for all I know, as soldiers, as the settlers that throw rocks at them at the West Bank, or as jets raining hell from above. It's both horrifying and honestly just quite sad, because it's these complexities that most modern games miss. Instead of digging into the messy reality of conflict, they opt for a sanitized version, where the lines are clear and the choices are easy. But in real life, war is rarely about who's right and who's wrong. It's about survival, power, and the devastating cost of both. Modern warfare is a complex and messy reality, filled with moral gray zones and devastating consequences. And yet, most games prefer to keep it simple. Good guys versus bad guys. Freedom versus tyranny. But the truth, it's so much more complicated than that. While Modern Warfare might give us thrilling combat and cinematic storytelling, it often fails to capture the true cost of conflict. It's not always about hanging from a goddamn helicopter shooting at cars below. It sometimes just be hours of waiting without nothing happening, and then suddenly you hear the sound of a drone. And the next few minutes you're just gone. And then next you'll be sent as a video to Telegram groups or even really gory websites, which is just sad. And even though I know that games are supposed to entertain, and that's fine, if Call of Duty never delve into the horrible atrocities of modern warfare, it doesn't bother me that much. But if we forget that war isn't just black and white, it's not about the good guys versus the bad guys, it's not always about the Americans versus the Russians or the Middle Eastern alliances, it's dangerous because if they don't show that war is usually more gray, we're doomed. Doomed to repeat the same thing, to repeat the same war to end all wars. But at the end, who knows that there will be an actual war to truly end all of wars. Hey, it's Vantage here, and again I want to say at the end of the video how grateful I am for the huge amount of support on my previous video. Actually, by the time of recording, we are already at 300 subscribers, which is nuts. And the fact that in today's day and age, or whatever, there's a lot of talented creators popping out left and right. And the fact that I wasn't swept under the rug is just amazing. But I also wanted to, say sorry if, for example, I said any misinformation in the video, especially in the part where I talk about the Israeli, Palestine, and Hezbollah conflict. Because I'm trying my best not to be biased or sound biased, which is honestly kind of impossible. But, I just want to say that in this conflict, honestly, the only true victims of war is the civilian. So I just urge you to donate to organizations that help these victims of war. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. If you feel like I earned your subscription or you know what to do. And yeah, I'll see you beautiful people next time.